This is Times Radio.
Joining me now, have a further look at today's papers, is Andrew Eborn, barrister, broadcaster and futurist. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning, James. A joy to join you as always.
Let's begin with a very encouraging story on the front of the Times and also the Telegraph and the Daily Express front page this morning about Alzheimer's and this potential breakthrough. Just give us some of the details.
Oh, it's fantastic news. And every single day we're getting seismic advances in medicine. And Alzheimer's, that's a disease, most common cause of dementia in the UK. It was estimated in 2019 that about 900,000 people in the UK have Alzheimer's. And this is projected to rise by 1.6 million by 2040. Now, what's happened is there's a study from Sweden which has found that a very simple blood test can detect the earliest stages of Alzheimer's and about 10 to 15 years before symptoms start to show. And this is basically allowing research to assess how likely someone is to develop the disease. And what this will do is ultimately bring us closer towards a cure for dementia. So it's a fantastic story and a really, really good start to a blustery Tuesday.
Yeah, quite. And even though, as you mentioned, Andrew, there is obviously no cure for Alzheimer's currently, I suppose the hope here is that by being able to identify it more easily, you could, for example, test everyone over the age of 50. And so you could spot the signs early.
Yeah, absolutely. And prevention is better than cure. And all very much one for sort of joining up the whole sort of medical process on this. As you know, I campaign to get people connected because information is power. And I work with an organisation called Science for Soul and also Caroline's Law, all about that information, because prevention is better than cure. And empowering people to look at that is very interesting. But what this is, it's measuring a protein called p-tau 217, not tau.
I was going to say, didn't they do China in your hand?
Oh, no, we love it. You remember them, the band formed in 1986 who took their name from the Vulcan Elder of the same name in the sci-fi series Star Trek. A little bit of knowledge there. But no, glorious name on that sort of thing. What I love about it, and we're going to get more and more of these stories in amongst all the horrible news, there will be seismic advances in medicine. A lot of it aided, as you know, by my pet subject about artificial intelligence, AI. And you can expect more and more of these good stories if you look for them.
Now, many of the papers today talking about Keir Starmer's speech yesterday in which he accused Rishi Sunak of launching a McCarthyite attack on the National Trust and the RNLI. We also had the Culture Secretary, Lucy Fraser, yesterday doing a media round, including here on Times Radio, accusing the BBC of bias. I mean, it feels like the culture wars are going to be a big issue in the election later this year. But is that right? I mean, do voters actually care about these culture war issues, Andrew?
Well, I think people do. You can look for easy headlines when you're looking at social media, and they burst a blood vessel on social media just using the word woke, which started out as something really good. You know, the whole idea of woke was to be awake and sensitive to other people's feelings. It then became this sort of terrible condemnation of anybody who goes to the other extreme. So accusations of McCarthyism, also known as the Red Scare, about political repression and persecution of left-wing individuals. Two different takes on the stories in the press today. We've got The Independent talks about Starmer ignites the culture war with the anti-woke Tories, and a sort of positive thing about sort of Starmer wades into culture wars on the side of the woke. So depending on what your political persuasion is, you get it both ways. But what he's basically saying, he's criticising the Tories for what he calls McCarthyite anti-woke on British institutions such as the National Lifeboat Institute and the National Trust. And you might recall there have been all sorts of stories about putting Winston Churchill's home on the list of properties linked to slavery and colonialism. And basically what that happened is the charity had a list of 93 houses which had links to slavery, and it caused great anger in Chartwell where it was. And also the similar sort of thing which they had with the RNLI. They have alpha males hit back at a woke crusade. All these sort of headlines where they were sent on courses, if you like, to encourage diversity. There's a lot of good about diversity and inclusion. I was at a brilliant talk last night with the journalist Emma Dabiri, who is basically, she's an Irish author, academic and broadcaster, and she had a book, Don't Touch My Hair, and she was talking about all her experiences early on when she came to Dublin as the first person. A lot of people would seem to a mixed race family. And that sort of side is very, very tricky. And I think you need to work out, it is all about understanding, it's all about respect. But using woke, back to your first question, that is the thing which will get people's blood boiling. You talk about things being anti-woke and so on and so forth. That undoubtedly will get many ink spilt on many, many column inches.
Yes, I have a feeling we're going to see the word woke bandied around quite a lot in the course of the general election campaign this year. Let's do one more story, Andrew, and it's a brilliant story. It's on the front of the Daily Star this morning, but it even makes it onto the front page of the Times. Tell us about these naughty parrots.
Oh, the potty mouth pollies. I love it. It's got to be good. So basically, birds parrot each other and turn the zoo's air blue. Swearing is neither big nor clever, but if you're a parrot, it can be catching. So what's happened, this Lincolnshire Wildlife Park is reintroducing some problem parrots to the flock in the hope that their profanities will be drowned out by others. So there was what's happened. It's in Skegness, good old Skeggy, who removed 5 African greys, Billy, Tyson, Eric, Jade and Elsie, from the display 3 months ago, for 3 months rather, in 2020. And basically they were taken out because they were swearing at visitors. Now, what's happened is they've hoped that they're going to introduce them back into the flock and hope that the rest of the flock will re-educate them. But the concern is these wonderful parrots are going to come back and teach the rest of the flock how to F and blind. And what they're sort of saying, the foul-beaked parrots are also a draw for visitors. And birds can be very funny. When the world seems very serious, but they said, you never tire of being told to F off by a parrot.
I know a few good jokes about potty mouth parrots. I can't repeat any of them at 5:30 on national radio, but I do know a few. Andrew, always great to chat. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, James. You take care.
Andrew Eborn there, barrister, broadcaster and futurist.
Across the UK, on DAB, online and on your smart speaker. This is Times Radio.